The inexplicable has a way of being explained. And while this may sound like a murder mystery podcast, there's significant science and data to unpack. This may be one of the strangest and most captivating videos I've ever created. The Bermuda Triangle, curiously, doesn't appear on any maps. It's not officially recognized as a location by the United States, despite its proximity. So, where exactly is it? Unofficially, the Bermuda Triangle is a section of the North Atlantic Ocean. Its rough boundaries connect the southeastern coast of the US, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Interestingly, there is no universal agreement on its exact borders, with estimates of the total area ranging from 500,000 to 1,500,000 square miles. That means there's potentially about 1 million square miles up for interpretation. The region takes on a triangular form, but its shape could differ, resembling either an isosceles triangle, a scalene triangle, or even more like a rhombus, depending on how the boundaries are drawn. Maybe the name Bermuda dodecahedron didn't capture the imagination as much. From the beginning, there's a glaring gap in the discussions surrounding this topic. There have certainly been incidents in this area, some quite tragic, but because boundaries are arbitrary and vary with historical accounts, pinning down exact numbers of fatalities and disappearances becomes extremely challenging. The constantly shifting boundaries over centuries complicate this even further. However, the events that have transpired within this mysterious triangle throughout history are deeply intriguing. The tale starts over 500 years ago with Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Columbus set sail from Spain aboard 3 ships. He aimed to discover a western route to Asia and the New World. After sailing across the Atlantic for 10 long weeks, land was finally sighted, and he stepped onto a small island in the Bahamas, which he named San Salvador. He is now recognized as the first person to have navigated the Sargasso Sea and the Bermuda Triangle, or at least the first to return and share the experience. This is where the mysteries arguably began. His logs, compiled posthumously, were later translated, revealing early warnings of something amiss. In September of 1492, Columbus noted that something was affecting his compass. He mentioned that at night, the compass pointed northwest, while in the morning, it pointed northeast. Several days later, he observed the sea swelling to astonishing heights and described an unusual light on the horizon, reminiscent of a candle. Notably, this small light was too minute for him to confirm as land. Imagine the fascination surrounding those incidents 500 years ago. America had yet to be discovered, and knowledge of the world was limited. It's clear why such stories, myths, and mysteries began to spark intrigue. In the early 1600s, a ship named Sea Venture left England to resupply the struggling Jamestown colony near Bermuda's uninhabited islands. The fleet encountered a hurricane, which destroyed the ship and stranded its crew. While there was nothing particularly mysterious about this event, the sailors clinging to their wrecked ship would have felt a sense of unease, perhaps recalling previous mysterious occurrences in the area. This shipwreck is believed to have inspired Shakespeare's play, The Tempest, where he refers to Bermuda as a cursed location. Bermuda was on its way to semi-notoriety. One of the eeriest encounters happened in 1881. According to legend, the cargo ship Ellen Austin, sailing from Liverpool to New York, spotted a ghost ship in the Bermuda Triangle. The captain took a shortcut through the stormy Sargasso Sea, where they found a hauntingly silent vessel with no crew on board, yet packed with valuable cargo, almost like bait. The crew of the Ellen Austin, eager to salvage this mysterious ship and its treasures, decided to take it back to New York. They assigned some of their bravest men to man both ships during the continued voyage across the Sargasso Sea. Unfortunately, a fierce storm struck, separating the 2 vessels. Once the storm cleared, Captain Griffin and the remaining crew started looking for their lost friends. Eventually, they spotted the ghost ship, but received no response when they called out. Eerie silence enveloped that vessel once again. A group of sailors went aboard the ghost ship, only to find no sign of the vanished crew. Captain Griffin was undeterred and commanded a second team to board that nameless vessel. For several nights, it seemed like fortune smiled upon them as the ships sailed together toward New York. However, their luck changed when a dense fog rolled in, engulfing the waters. The Ellen Austin came to a halt as the crew awaited the fog's retreat. Separated from the ghost ship, They were left in a silent void, only accompanied by the creaking wood and gentle waves. Once the fog dissipated, the ghost ship was gone, taking with it the entire crew and all treasures, never to be seen again. It's a compelling tale, isn't it? But does it hold any truth? You know for certain that the Ellen Austin was indeed a real ship that sailed between Liverpool and New York. However, historical records confirm that her 1881 journey was uneventful, as stated in Lloyd's Register of Ships. Still, reports of mysterious events in this region persist, extending into the modern era. In the 20th century, this area received significant attention following a particularly notorious tragedy in March 1918. The USS Cyclops, a 542-foot Navy cargo ship carrying over 300 men and 10,000 tons of manganese, departed Rio de Janeiro, headed for Baltimore. After an unscheduled stop in Barbados, it set sail northward, never to be seen again. The disappearance of the Cyclops marked the greatest loss of life in U.S. naval history that wasn't directly related to combat. Notably, the Cyclops never issued an SOS distress signal, despite being equipped for emergencies. An extensive search found no wreckage. US President Woodrow Wilson famously remarked, "Only God and the sea know what happened to the great ship." In 1941, two sister ships of the Cyclops vanished along a similar route. A 1920 quote from Santa Fe magazine captured the mystery, describing her disappearance as if a colossal sea monster had seized her crew and sent them into the ocean's depths. The tragedy deepened with the silence of any distress calls, as no nearby ships received any pleas for help from the Cyclops. This incident was just one of many military tragedies that occurred in the area, fueling theories about some strange force at play. Years later, in December 1945, 5 Navy TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, carrying 40 crew members, departed from a Fort Lauderdale airfield for practice bombing runs. However, during the mission, the lead pilot encountered compass malfunctions, leading Flight 19 to become lost. Over the radio, he communicated, "We cannot be sure where we are." 20 minutes later, after changing command to a new leader for unexplained reasons, the flight's last words were, "It looks like we are entering white water. We are completely lost." All 5 planes flew aimlessly until low fuel forced them to ditch at sea. That same day, a rescue plane and its 13 crew members also vanished. Despite a week-long search, nothing was ever discovered, leading the official Navy report to declare that it was as if they had flown to Mars. There was no wreckage or evidence of the planes and their pilots. Suspicion mounted. This odd area seemed to claim not only ships, but now aircraft flying overhead too. In December 1948, just after Flight 19's disappearance, a British passenger plane with around 30 people vanished on January 30th, while traveling from the Azores to Bermuda. The following year, the BSAA Star Ariel, the same model as the previous plane, disappeared en route from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica. Neither aircraft has ever been found. These numerous incidents began with Columbus noting strange compass behavior. With no substantial evidence or explanations, something needed to connect these events and provide a name: the Bermuda Triangle. American author Vincent Gaddis proposed this term in the February 1964 edition of Argosy magazine, drawing a line from Florida to Bermuda, then from Bermuda to Puerto Rico, and back to Florida through the Bahamas, defined this area where many vanishings occurred without solid facts. There was feverish speculation surrounding the idea, captivating the world's imagination. The mysteries now seemed interconnected, portrayed as a puzzle to be solved. This article was a masterwork of conspiracy, suggesting dark forces at play. During this time, the Cold War and Cuban Missile Crisis fostered rampant conspiracy theories, while NASA began cracking many of life's mysteries. Yet, the Bermuda Triangle presented a phenomenon that evaded explanation. Others quickly exploited the Bermuda Triangle frenzy. Numerous books emerged, with Charles Berlitz's 1974 work, The Bermuda Triangle, being the most famous. It sold 20 million copies in over 30 languages, achieving remarkable success for its outlandish theories. Berlitz's ideas were so persuasive that when Steven Spielberg created Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he depicted the Flight 19 crew as alien abductees. Berlitz aimed to connect the Bermuda Triangle to the legendary lost city of Atlantis, asserting it drew in ships, planes, and people into its depths. He often turned to paranormal explanations, suggesting the absence of distress signals as possible evidence of extraterrestrial interference or supernatural phenomena. Spielberg seemed intrigued by these concepts, and Berlitz didn't stop there. He posited that the triangle might serve as a portal to another dimension or a haven for aliens to abduct humans. The possibilities seemed limitless. The more bizarre, the better. Critics questioned his methods, especially as gaps in knowledge were narrowing even in the 1970s. Clinging to mysteries without clear answers is intoxicating. This is why the Bermuda Triangle's intrigue has endured. It's thrilling to think that, despite immense scientific advancement, something could still evade explanation, a riddle unsolved in a largely mapped world. Although recent discussions around it have faded, we can finally reveal the truth behind the Bermuda Triangle. It's a strong and confident stance rather than ambiguous notions. We are fundamentally an Earth science channel. While I would love to explore topics like Atlantis, ghost ships, or alien abductions, today we'll focus on more scientifically grounded theories surrounding Bermuda Triangle disappearances. One recurring topic is navigational issues. We've previously mentioned Columbus's compass malfunction. Similarly, during their training exercises, Flight 19 struggled to determine their location. Most discussions on the Bermuda Triangle reference its unique characteristic. It's one of only 2 areas on Earth, the other being the Devil's Sea near Japan, where a compass points to true north instead of magnetic north. Could this cause compasses to fail, leading ships and planes off course? For those needing a quick reminder, a compass functions because its magnetic needle is influenced by Earth's magnetism, which directs it toward the constantly shifting magnetic North Pole. In contrast, the geographic North Pole remains stationary and is located 1,200 miles north of the magnetic pole. The difference in these readings is termed magnetic declination or compass variation, which changes as one travels across the planet. Another important term here is the agonic line, which is an imaginary line where true north aligns perfectly with magnetic north, resulting in no magnetic declination. In the early 18th century, Edmund Halley observed that the agonic line was gradually shifting west. He proposed contour lines to depict declination on maps. West of the agonic line, compasses point east of true north, showing positive declination. Conversely, to the east, they point west, indicating negative declination. Scientists have since noted that the agonic line shifts westward at about 0.2 degrees per year. However, this drift is not uniform. It's noticeably stronger in the Atlantic Hemisphere than the Pacific. Thus, navigators must adjust for magnetic declination while charting courses. Although the agonic line previously passed through the Bermuda Triangle, it now lies within the Gulf of Mexico, making claims about its role in triangle disappearances largely inaccurate. The compass malfunction theory has its flaws too. Errors in calculations anywhere could lead a plane or ship off course. It also assumes that seasoned pilots and captains traveling in this area were oblivious to magnetic declination, which is quite unlikely. Moreover, most boats and aircraft pass through this region without any issues. Another noticeable trend in these incidents at sea is the lack of wreckage. One reasonable explanation is simply bad weather. The hurricane season directly affects this area. Just look at the destruction from 2024 storms. Some theorists suggest rogue waves are responsible for why many ships fail to reach their destinations. These massive and abnormal waves can soar up to 100 feet high. Rogue waves do exist and make up roughly 1 in every 10,000 waves. With the first recorded instrumental observation occurring on January 1, 1995, in the North Sea, this particular wave, known as the Dropna wave, measured 84 feet tall. Additionally, we cannot overlook the Gulf Stream's role, which is supported by NOAA. They state that environmental factors can account for some Bermuda Triangle disappearances. The Gulf Stream flows along the triangle's western edge, characterized by its swift and turbulent waters. This can create severe navigational challenges, particularly for inexperienced sailors. In certain regions, the Gulf Stream can exceed 4 or 5 knots per hour, 300 times faster than the Amazon River. This current can easily displace sailors hundreds of miles. Off course, if adjustments aren't made, it can also swiftly eliminate evidence of disasters. A newer scientific theory involves methane. While often recognized as a potent greenhouse gas from cattle, vast amounts of methane lie trapped in ocean sediments. In 2016, researchers from the Arctic University of Norway identified craters off the coast, measuring up to half a mile wide and 150 meters deep. They proposed these craters result from explosive methane release from below. Despite clearly stating they were not linking their findings to the triangle, some academics, like Russian scientist Igor Yeltsov, made that connection. Media outlets have eagerly picked up on this theory. Although it's certainly a possibility, it's unlikely to be the cause. With factors like methane gas, geomagnetism, the Caribbean's tumultuous weather patterns, it's clear this area can be perilous for both planes and vessels. These scientific explanations significantly demystify the Bermuda Triangle. However, just mentioning scientific concepts like geomagnetism or methane blowouts doesn't provide irrefutable proof. These remain hypotheses rather than definitive conclusions. Where is the solid evidence at the end of it all? A diary translated from 1492, a magazine article from the 1940s, and a best-selling book from the 1970s all narrate a single story. However, when we scrutinize the aviation and marine casualty data from recent decades and compare it to global statistics, a different narrative emerges. In fact, the absence of a compelling storyline points us toward the truth. There is nothing particularly unusual occurring in the Bermuda Triangle. It doesn't even rank among the top 10 most dangerous ocean regions worldwide. Utilizing the marine casualty and pollution data, which encompasses over 150,000 records. From 1982 to 2015, we find around 9,000 incidents for analysis. Among these, only 361 incidents occurred within the Bermuda Triangle, accounting for merely 4%. This suggests that the causes of casualties in this area closely resemble the global pattern, with a slightly reduced occurrence of capsizing incidents likely due to nearby major trading ports, where conditions tend to be calmer. Interestingly, no incidents classified as disappearances were recorded in the Bermuda Triangle. Between 1982 and 2015, YouTuber Johnny Harris gathered shipping data from 2021. Through Lloyd's List, a global shipping publication, taking this research further. The data indicated that 1.8% of all vessels worldwide encountered some form of casualty during their voyages, concluding mysterious disappearances. Among the 8,634 boats that traversed the Bermuda Triangle, only to experience such casualties just 0.02%, according to the Lloyd's List dataset. The risk of disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle is actually 90 times lower than the global average. While not quite confirming the extremely low figure reported in Johnny's video, Lloyd's of London and the US Coast Guard support the claim that the percentage of missing ships in the Bermuda Triangle mirrors that of other regions globally. Over the past decade, annual shipping losses have decreased by 70%. Notably, regions surrounding the Bermuda Triangle are rarely implicated in incidents. The South China, Indochina, Indonesia, and Philippines regions experienced the highest losses, while the East Mediterranean and Black Sea regions were the second worst hit. Now, let's examine the planes flying above. When we investigate aviation incidents using the National Transportation Safety Board's database, which covers all accidents since 1962, a similarly rational story emerges. Though infamous incidents like the Flight 19 bomber's disappearance and various aircraft mysteries have fueled Bermuda Triangle myths, closer scrutiny reveals that most incidents transpired during takeoff and landing, primarily in the Bahamas. Only a few in-flight incidents resulted in fatalities, with the sole documented commercial flight accident attributed to poor weather-related decisions by the pilot. Since 1965, there has been just one aviation incident over Bermuda. JetBlue flight number N913J-B encountered severe turbulence, leading to one injury. Regarding the notorious Flight 19, transcripts reveal that the lead pilot, Lieutenant Taylor, believed his compass had malfunctioned and that he was over the Florida Keys. However, later analysis showed he was southeast near a Bahamian island. Instead of turning back west toward Florida, he continued east deeper into the Atlantic Ocean. In essence, he was lost. According to Australian scientist Karl Krishnetsky, similar navigational errors have occurred previously with the same pilot. Likely, this tragedy stemmed from human error. The islands of Bermuda experience an average of one damaging tropical cyclone every 6 or 7 years. While smaller systems affect the area more frequently, approximately 500 tropical and subtropical cyclones have impacted Florida, which faces more storms than any other U.S. state. Since 1851, only 18 hurricane seasons have occurred without any known storm affecting Florida. Puerto Rico averages 4 to 5 hurricanes annually. Even in 2025, despite our ability to track and model these storms, they still cause significant destruction. Imagine the devastation before such advancements. So there you have it, perhaps slightly underwhelming. If your friends bring it up, you can confidently tell them there's nothing extraordinary about the Bermuda Triangle. It is undoubtedly one of the most weather-affected regions on Earth. Thus, incidents over centuries are to be expected. Statistically, you face no more risk traveling through the Bermuda Triangle than in any other part of the world. In fact, it's significantly safer than my trip from Dover to Kalawa for a mundane summer holiday. Sadly, some tragic events are simply due to human error amid one of the world's worst weather-affected areas. No more, no less. Sorry, aliens, but the good news is the mystery is dispelled. The Bermuda Triangle is, well, relatively dull. Or, as I like to say, fabulously unremarkable. Honestly, we could use a bit more of that in our lives right now.